Well, hello everybody. Thanks for coming out again. Hopefully I don't get hit by a piece of chicken coming in with the best. Appreciate the Pizza Ranch having us out here. They give us a great opportunity to come out and have some great lunch here from the coaches. And Scholar athletes aren't here today. There's some going on at the school called a career fair, so a lot of them are lined up doing that. But we'll start with indoor track. Welcome up head coach Jerry Schafer.
If you have any flying chicken, I might catch it in my mouth. That's what they going here. But so it's been a couple weeks since I've been at a luncheon, and we've had a pretty good 2 weeks as far as track goes. I wrote my notes so I won't forget anything or anybody. But we competed at Shadron State in a triangular with Blackville State and Shadron a week ago last Friday, and had some really good performances there. Shadron State has a short track, 180-meter track indoors, and so the NCAA in their wisdom tries to convert those times to bigger tracks, either 200 or 300-meter tracks, which the 300-meter track is what they'll run at the national meet this year. And so we got a really good time conversion for national qualifying and coming off the Shadron meet. We had 3 school records that day, and first and foremost was probably Josh Thomas's school record in the 60-meter dash, which was also a provisional qualifier for nationals. The bad thing about a sprinter is we're still at a little bit of altitude, so they add time. While they take time off for a short track, they add time to a sprinter's time because you can run faster at altitude as a sprinter. They take time off for distance runners, so it's kind of a wash there in some events. But Shadron's track, the unique size, gives us a pretty good conversion time, and so Josh was able to get a provisional qualifier in the 60, and then he came back in the 200, won that race, and got a provisional qualifier in the 200 as well. I believe this week he's 3rd in the RMAC. 4th in the region as far as his time in the 200 meters. So had a good day that day. Also placed that day in the long jump, 2nd to Shadron State's national caliber, national champion, Pan American Games long jumper. So did a nice job. He was RMAC track athlete of the week that week for his performances. So that was a good deal. In the pole vault at the Shadron meet, Mackenzie Nordine equaled her outdoor pole vault and set an indoor school record as well. I believe it's 11 feet 1.5 inches, so probably over the ceiling. You know, if you want to get a height gauge, she would have vaulted over the ceiling tiles here. So did a nice job. She's knocking on the door for bigger marks and doing very, very well. She also sprints for us and runs the 100, the 200, and the 400. The other school record that fell was Addie Stratmeyer in the 3K. She broke a 26-year-old record set by Jill Dale, who also graduated from Central High School way back in the day. I was fortunate enough to coach Jill back then when we had very, very small women's teams. And so Addie did a really nice job of breaking that record. First lady we've ever had go under 11 minutes for 3K, so did a great job there. That meet we also had 14 personal records from our athletes, so did a really, really nice job. Last weekend on Saturday we went over to Gillette College, or to Gillette, Wyoming. Their recreation center has a beautiful 200-meter indoor track, mondo surface like our outdoor track, same colors and everything. So it's just like it's a miniature of our own home track, and really a good meet for us. There were 5 teams there. We and Blackville State and Dickinson State were the 4-year schools. I guess Rocky Mountain is a 4-year school as well, and then Gillette College joined us. Had 2 school records on Saturday. Again, Addie Stratmeyer, we put her in a little different race that we don't see very often, the 1K, and she won that, or didn't win that. She broke the school record. I believe she was 3rd overall in that race, and broke the school record set by Alex Godicke several years ago. Alex had about 6 of our women's distance records, and now you know, 1 more of those are gone from her. So Addie did a nice job there. Also, we put together a women's 4x4. We didn't load it up with our 4 best 400-meter women, but we did have Mackenzie Nordine lead off again in the 400, and then we had 3 freshmen with her: Sydney Daney, Erica Westerman, and Rachel Lovelace, and they broke the indoor 4x4 record by a little over a second, about a second and a half. So we were pretty happy with that. Had 13 PRs on Saturday again, so that's 27 personal bests in the last 2 weeks. Very pleased with what the kids are getting done that way. Again, Saturday, Josh Thomas had won both the events he was in, 60-meter and the long jump. Totally in the last 2 meets, we've had 10 athletes. Actually, this week we have 10 athletes that are in 14 events or in the top 10 in the RMAC. So, you know, getting ready for the RMAC meet in a couple of weeks, we're positioning ourselves very well to score better than we did last year and maybe improve our place. We had 15 in the last 2 meets. We had 15 people move onto the all-time top 10 list or move up in position on the all-time top 10 list for school mines athletes. So that was a big plus. What we've got left for the season: this week we're going to take 10 athletes down to South Dakota State University. We're going to run on their 1-year-old 300-meter track. So we're going to see what that feels like to go on a bigger indoor track. And we'll take a few field events people and several running events people. Just a mixture of our top kids. Some of them are close to breaking some school records. Others are close to getting provisional qualifying, or we want them to continue their provisional qualifying marks. In the case of Josh Thomas, see if we can get a better seed mark and get him into the national championship. So that's what's on store this week. The week after that, we'll compete at Black Hill State, and then in basically 2 weekends from now, we will be in Chadron for the RMAC Indoor Championships. And again, that'll be a great competition for us, and then we'll wind up our indoor season and start focusing on outdoor. So, any questions? Good. I explained it all.
So you think you know everything about college athletics, and then Coach Schafer says they add time to sprinters at a high altitude. That's why I was never a sprinter. They kept adding time. We'll talk Hardrocker women's basketball. Ryan Larsen and the Hardrockers went 1-1, double overtime loss, and he's still tired from that game. Welcome, Coach Larsen.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Coach Schafer coached me up a little bit yesterday. I had 2 attempts at a pole vault. The first one nearly decapitated myself. The second one, I went farther than I went higher, and I know that's not the goal. But
you got into the pit.
I got into the pit, which was a victory. My time has passed as a pole vaulter, though. Back in the day, I thought I would have been pretty good at that, but no more. You got the athletic to do that. But tough weekend. I suppose we didn't have luncheon last weekend, so I could rewind a little bit to 2 weekends ago, as much as I'd rather not. But had a tough trip down to Colorado Mines and Colorado Christian. The trip just started off rough from the get-go. We were ill, including myself. One of our young ladies had a death in the family, relative, so that was some adversity there, amongst some other things. And it was just a fortunate trip from the get-go. Not to make excuses, but it certainly does weigh on young ladies when they're sick and illnesses and deaths and other things. It was tough, but the Friday night against Mines, I can't say we didn't play very poorly at all. We played well. We were really fired up to get going. We had a ton of great shots early, and they weren't bad shots at all. They were bad because they didn't go in. But a lot of good shots, and they just, man, as good as the shots that we had, they weren't falling, and it's tough to play defense when your shots aren't going in. Although we still defended pretty well, we held their best player in check. Because of that, some of their other guards got going a little bit more than what we wanted to. I'm not sure, I think we were down 13 at the break. And then played a tremendous third quarter. We were as good as we have been in quite a while that third quarter. And just moved the basketball, focused a little bit more on making an extra pass, taking better shots, and just really cut into their lead. And we were really hard to guard. And it was a lot of fun to see, and it was a lot of fun to play for the kids. Start the fourth quarter, we were down 7. We had a 3-point attempt, obviously, to cut it to 4. We missed, they score. We missed another basket, a really good look, and wheels kind of fell off from there a little bit. Because we started to rush them a little bit more, and ended up getting a little away from us a little bit there. But I was really pleased with the way we battled back, the way we knifed into that lead, and defended for the most part. And then Saturday, boy, things just continued to snowball as far as shots not being able to go in. The difference between Friday and Saturday is Friday's shots were a little rushed. 1 pass shot, 2 pass, 3 pass, just chuck one up, and they weren't going in. For the weekend, I think we finished 3 for 46 from the arc. We like to shoot threes, but I've said all year long, when our jumpers aren't going in, how are we going to score? How are we going to score? And we just haven't figured that formula out yet. So Saturday we did get roughed up a little bit by a good Colorado Christian team, but we didn't have our best stuff that night by far. This past weekend, Friday night that was a tough one. It really was. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it didn't sting a little bit. I wouldn't say a slow first half, but we were kind of feeling them out a little bit. I can kind of tell at this point in the year when our kids are just a little bit tentative. We were a little bit tentative that first half. Made some simple adjustments at halftime. I just really came out and played tremendous basketball that second half. And after the game, I told the ladies I've never been so proud of them all year long as the way we battled back in that second half. We ran great offense. We were about as good as we had been in a long time defensively. Just to give you an idea how good defensively we were, Fort Lewis they averaged 72 points a game, and with 10 extra minutes, 2 overtimes, they ended the game with 75. So we were really, really good defensively. It took them out of just about everything they wanted to do, and we were having our way on offense as well. A lot of bright spots from that game. One that really sticks out to me. Alexis Long had one of the best defensive stands I have ever seen personally. They had the ball at the last shot, and they give the ball to their best player, who in my mind is a first-team all-conference kid, a really good scorer. And Alexis just locked her up, and the kid barely got a shot off. And that was fun to see. It was really just a tremendous effort by Alexis, senior point guard. So that was really, really neat to see. And I'm proud of Lexi because she just continues to battle and battle and battle all year. We play her too many minutes, with the injuries that we have right now, but I tell you what, that little chicken's about as tough as they come. So that was really neat to see. And then just other kids being able to score as well. Probably the defining moment of that game, I said it on the radio to Tom afterwards. It was regulation. We were up 2. They called a timeout. I thought I had an idea of what they were going to do. I was pretty sure I knew what set they were going to run. I called for us to run our zone trap. We trapped in the wrong spot. They ran something different, and they made a basket out of it. And that's on me. I do take the blame for that loss 100%. If I would have played a little closer to the vest, but hindsight's 20/20. I was trying to be aggressive. I thought we were going to end that thing right there, but they made the shot, pushed into overtime, and the rest is history. Saturday, kids battled. Did we have our best stuff? No, we didn't. We had a number of just really unfortunate, out of character turnovers. But you know what? I would be lying again if it wasn't, we weren't a little hungover from Saturday, or Friday night from just getting our hearts ripped out. But they battled. We played really well that last third quarter, the third and fourth quarter. We stretched the lead, got a little sloppy there in the fourth quarter, but made enough plays down the stretch to win the game. And that shows character of our kids. You know, it really does. You know, for playing 10 extra minutes the night before, I believe Megan Rohr played over 40 minutes. I know Krista and Lexi played over 40 minutes. The number of kids were well over 35 minutes in that game. That's a ton. That is an absolute ton of minutes, you know, and an emotional game as well. So to pull that game out Saturday, again, shows a lot of character of our young ladies, and just be able to rebound and, you know, stay in the hunt. Nate's talked to me about it a couple times. Tom Mann has talked to me about it a couple times. You know, depending on who you ask, people think we need to win out. Some people think we need to win 4 games and we're in the playoffs. I don't know. I told the girls Friday, I said, we're done looking at standings. I know I am. All right, we just got to play one game at a time right now. You know, and hope we get a little help and just continue to focus on ourselves and get better and better and better. You know, and if the chips fall, you know, in our favor, I'll take it. No problem. Absolutely. But we just got to worry about one game at a time right now. And again, we got 2 good teams coming in this weekend. Westminster and Colorado Mesa, who first time around with them, we didn't beat. We played really well against Mesa, missed some free throws and some shots down the stretch there. They're a really good team. And then Westminster, just kind of, you know, it's one of those games where I like to use the term, you know, everything they did turned to gold, and everything we did was manure, basically. So that was one of those games, and I'm excited for this weekend. I know our kids remember exactly what happened a while ago when we played the first time, and they've got a great focus to, you know, payback. I don't know if I like to use that term. You know, everybody thinks that, but they didn't get our best shot, and that's what we want to prove this weekend. You know, put our best foot forward, and, you know, hopefully we can, you know, continue to make some really good baskets, run great offense, and the best thing is we're defending it the best we have all year. Any questions for me? We are bunged up. I know you're all thinking it. We are bungered up pretty good. We're practicing with 4 guards right now. A few of them we're going to hold out and all week long with practice, and, you know, tape them up and piece them together on Friday and Saturday. Peyton Humpel, thankfully the only thing she can do right now with her shoulder is shoot. That's great because her stroke is coming back. For her to pass or dribble is really painful. Stacy Hull is on one leg right now. She's gutting it out. And then obviously Taylor and Callie, you know, we've talked about them for a while. They've been buggered up, but tough kids. We've talked about holding them out of games, and, you know, no, not going to happen. I said, well, then you're not going to practice, and they're not happy about that either, but that's my decision. So we're buggered up, but everybody is this time of year. There's no doubt about it. Anything else? Oh, thank you very much.
Quickest transition ever, because I know Henry wants to talk too. Welcome up, Hardrocker men's coach.
Yeah, just quickly through our weekends and whatnot. Basically the same story as Brian talked about 2 weeks ago. We didn't have our luncheon last week, so hit on that real quick. And kind of the same thing for us. It started out bad and got worse, you know, and then we ended up playing pretty well the second night and all those kind of things. But started out by, must have been Wednesday night, I get a phone call, and one of our guys is sicker than a dog and heading in the emergency room and doing all this and doing all that. And Philip Chanelak doesn't go on the trip with us, so that's how it started. You know, and obviously we have to have everybody right now, and because we are, you know, got some guys that are hurt, and we knew we weren't going. So that was kind of the start of it. And later on in the afternoon, I slip and fall on some ice and kill my arm, and I got up and literally wiped the mud off of me and all those kind of things, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to be a fun game. So sure enough, that was the highlight of the day, actually. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but we did. We ran into a buzzsaw. There's no question about it when we went to Colorado Mines, and And you know, honestly, if we're at full strength, we talk about our guys being hurt and all those kind of things. It wouldn't have mattered one bit in that game. You know, sure, we made a couple more shots and that kind of thing, but the way they were playing and the way they're playing right now is they're one of the top teams in the country, especially at home. So run into a tough team there. Went back and watched film though, and watched film with our guys, which we typically don't the second night or the morning of for the second day on Saturday. But it was something that we needed to see. You know, we've lost a few games going into that, lost a few more since. But the guys have hung together and you know, believe in what we're doing, and just to show them, hey, here's what we're running, you know, whether it's this offense or this set, and they're getting great looks. And just didn't knock down the shots against them. Then we, you know, okay, now look what they do. They don't do anything special, just guys knocking down shots. So that's a big part of it, and just get your confidence going. And I thought going into the second night after watching that film and just how close we really are, even though the score, and we get our butts kicked and all those kind of things, but how close we really are. And then to show them that and then play a good CCU team and do just fine. I mean, we had our opportunities in that game as well. We competed at a totally different level than we did the night before, which was huge, which is hard anyway when you're you know, dinged up and don't have the right guys and that kind of stuff. And then a team come out that hot, it's tough. But we did a great job that second night. You know, we had plenty of rest because we didn't play. You know, we played everybody 20 minutes in the game before. And came out that second night, which is always hard on the road, which we found out this past weekend, even at home, when you're playing 40 plus minutes, go overtime that second night, we kind of ran out of gas, which we'll get to in a second, but that didn't really happen when we were playing CCU, so made me feel good. You know, as much as losing 2 games doesn't make you feel good when you're on the road, and but we know how tough it is. You try to find a way to split and those kind of things, but the bottom line is there was life in our guys, and they were ready to compete, and that got me excited. And sure enough, come out the next Monday, and we have one of our better practices. You know, so it shows our guys, and not that I was questioning it and that kind of stuff, but it's a grind this time of year. Even if you're winning games, it's a grind on everybody, and you're in and out of these games. It's stressful, and kids have this going on and that going on, and career fairs and all those other things, and then to lose, it's tough to bounce back and to come ready for practice, and our guys did that. And sure enough, we have a great weekend last weekend. We go 0-2, and I was excited as I've been all year. You know, you play a Fort Hays team that's number 15 in the country. They're the top team in the RMAC by a couple games, and got some very, very good players, and have 2 cracks at the end of regulation to win it. I mean, I can't ask for anything more. So our guys stepped up. They played well. We defended pretty good. Did a lot of good things. Troy Whitetoe was out all week being sick. Got some playing time in that. Had Phillip back. Connor's finally, the CCU game was the first time we played Connor over 20 minutes, and he had 20-some points and 14 rebounds. I mean, he's back to Connor, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we can go out and just play the minutes, and sure enough, he plays 40 minutes in that game, and I think it hurt him the second half of the next game, but you're playing for that one game at a time, have an opportunity to beat a big-time team on your home court, and it just fell a little bit short. But once again, our guys came back the next night. You know, didn't have as good a start as we did against Fort Lewis, and battled back, hit, you know, finally made some shots. I think we go 5 for 8 in the first half. Second half, we have a 5-point lead with like 14 minutes to go, and I think turned it over like 3 out of 4 times in a row, 4 out of 5, something goofy, and they hit, you know, shots. Next thing you know, it's 6-8 points. We call a timeout, and just couldn't get over the hump after that. And then, like I said, I think they did kind of run out of gas when Jay Sean's playing 40 minutes, Connor is. And those are the 2 guys that we needed to score, and they go 5 for 22 or 23 or something in that game. The other guys actually stepped up and did what they needed to do. So we need those guys to, you know, play their typical games. But I really think some of that got caught up with them. So anyway, ended up losing that game too. But yesterday at practice, you know, we had a great practice again. You know, it kind of took us out of mathematically. We're still probably in the hunt and that kind of stuff, but you know, basically takes us out of the playoff race. Always go into these practices now and just go, oh boy, here we go. Well, honestly, we've been through it for a couple years now, being an independent, not really playing for anything and that kind of stuff. And last year I was so proud of our guys that it didn't matter. They came every day and they wanted to get better, and I see that a lot in these guys as well. So looking forward to this weekend. Looking forward to keep getting better this week in practice. But this weekend we do have a Westminster team and a Mesa team. Of course, it doesn't get any easier. You know, Westminster's in the middle of the pack right now. They've won 4 or 5 games in a row. Mesa's top 3 teams, top 4 teams. They've won 7 of the last 8. You know, so in the RMAC in conference play, it doesn't get any easier. And then Ryan, you know, it doesn't get any easier on his side either. So it's fun to get to those games and prepare for them. But you're definitely not going to have an easy game at this point in the year. So with Westminster, we did beat them down there. It was one of our first games with playing with Jamal and Connor. And you know, we kind of at halftime we went into basically told those guys, hey, we're going to give Brian the ball basically every possession and see if we can win this game. And sure enough, you know, the Orr kid's hitting shots and ends up with probably 30 points and just kind of carried us and won that game in overtime. And honestly, going into that, we didn't know what to expect and could have just well been a 40-point game for just where our mentality was and that kind of thing. And they battled back after we played Mesa. And played Mesa very well too. They got probably the best player in the conference. He's leading in scoring, and you know, he's 6'10". Last game he had 36. They beat Highlands, and I think he had 5 threes as well. I mean, something just crazy. And he's as big as strong of guy inside that you have to put 2 guys on him. And now he's stepping out, knocking down shots. So it's not fair. If somebody wants to, you know, I don't know, feed him some lunch for us or they go back. You got my blessing. Go ahead. But no, he's a good player, and we played very well against them, and then turned around the next night, and then, like I said, played a Westminster team that is very good and very good at home, and found a way to win. So got an opportunity this weekend again to play 2 great teams, and there's not a team, and still in my mind, as we proved with the Fort Lewis game, that we can't compete with. You know, I've heard it a couple times, and it drives me nuts because we're not about excuses, and I hate talking about injuries and all those kind of things, but both those coaches were there, and they both said the same thing. Holy cows, I'm glad you guys are, you know, don't have one more guard that can really score or that kind of stuff, and you guys are pretty good. And I'm just going, yeah, he's right now on the end of the bench. You know, we got a guy that his last game he scored 25 points in the second half. You know, so it is what it is. They're getting some surgery and that kind of stuff. Joe went through his surgery last week. He might even be off crutches, which is the craziest thing in the world now with surgeries, especially ACLs, but he's supposed to be on crutches for like 2 weeks. And I'm just going, all right, so much for 2 months where it used to be, and then he's supposed to be ready to go, you know, 5-6 months, which, like I said, is just crazy. But to have those guys back, and Jamal's going to have surgery now, I think next Tuesday, something like that. So, and his is actually a little bit longer process. It's a foot, and he's supposed to be out, you know, 6 months as well, if not longer. So, want to get those guys back, playing with our guys and all those kind of things. But very proud of the guys right now, just getting in there and competing. And you know, like I said, if you can take a top team in the country to overtime, you know, they're still playing hard and they're still competing, which is what I needed to see. So, any quick questions for me with the games coming up and anything else? You should talk to him. Keeps talking about this Thomas kid or something. Should maybe run some routes or guard some guys for you. Or... All right, nothing? All right.
Couple things to remind you on. Come out, support Coach Larsen, Coach Henry, and the Hardrocker women and men. Friday night, 5:30 and 7:30. Saturday, 3:30 and 5:30. And then get your Black Hills State tickets for February 24th at the Ice Arena at the Civic Center, gotmine.com, or at the Civic Center. That's the best way to do it. Courtside, reserve, general admission, all available. We're back on campus next Tuesday. Thanks for coming out, everybody.